The stars stretched endlessly across the dark sky as the human ship Odyssey descended into the atmosphere of Zephyra. Outside the viewport, the planet glowed with colors no one had ever seen before. Rivers that shone like liquid emerald, forests dotted with enormous glowing flowers, and mountains that seemed to float above the ground. Captain Elias Carter leaned forward, his eyes wide with wonder. "Beautiful," he whispered. Around him, the rest of the crew shared quiet gasps of amazement. The mission was simple in theory: explore, observe, and establish contact if possible. But Elias knew better. First contact was never simple. The landing was smooth. The ship touched the soft surface of a glowing meadow, and the crew disembarked, their suits adjusting to the planet's strange atmosphere. Birds, or something like them, glided silently overhead, their wings reflecting light like liquid glass. Elias took a deep breath. Despite the protective suit, he could feel the hum of life all around him, as if the planet itself was alive and watching. "Captain," said Dr. Lena Rao, the team's xenobiologist, "sensors are picking up a large life form nearby. Massive biometrics, definitely intelligent." Elias nodded. "Good. That's who we came for." They moved carefully, leaving behind a trail of soft footprints on the glowing grass. The readings led them to a small valley where the light shifted strangely. There, lying between two floating boulders, was the creature. It was unlike anything they had imagined. Towering over 20 feet, with a form both delicate and powerful, the alien queen shimmered with colors that shifted like oil on water. Her skin was translucent in places, revealing faint patterns of bioluminescent veins, and her eyes, if they could be called that, were pools of deep purple that seemed to hold centuries of wisdom. But something was wrong. One of her limbs was bent at an unnatural angle, and she made soft, painful vibrations. Elias's heart skipped. "She's hurt. We can't just leave her." The crew hesitated. Alien contact protocols demanded caution. Any sudden move could be seen as a threat. But Elias stepped forward. He removed his helmet's visor and extended a hand, not in aggression but in calm reassurance. "I'm Captain Elias Carter. We come in peace. We want to help." The Queen's head twitched. Her eyes studied him, sharp and cautious, yet curious. Then she shifted slightly, letting him approach. Elias swallowed and glanced at his team. They were tense, but no one moved to stop him. Kneeling beside the injured limb, he carefully examined it. The bone seemed broken, but there was no bleeding like a human wound, only faint glowing lines that pulsed with pain. He frowned. Alien physiology was unpredictable, but he had to try. Lena handed him a small medical scanner. Elias activated it, and the device emitted soft hums analyzing the injury. "Looks like a stress fracture, but her bioluminescence is out of balance. We need to stabilize her energy flow before it worsens." "How do you plan to do that?" asked Ensign Malik, watching nervously. Elias looked at the Queen's eyes. They were watching him like a predator sizing up prey, but he didn't flinch. "Care, that's all. She has to trust me." He began to assemble a makeshift device from his portable medkit, and the glowing crystals scattered around the valley. It was delicate work. Every adjustment had to be precise. The Queen watched silently, occasionally twitching or humming in discomfort. Elias spoke softly, describing each step out loud, hoping the sound of his voice might be soothing. Hours passed like minutes. The sun, or Zephyra's version of it, began to sink behind floating mountains, casting long, liquid shadows across the valley. Elias worked tirelessly, adjusting the device, aligning the energy flows, and carefully placing his hands near the glowing fracture without touching it directly. Finally, he activated the apparatus. A soft hum filled the valley, and light flowed along the Queen's limb. Slowly, the shimmer of pain dimmed. She stiffened briefly, and Elias froze, unsure what would happen next. Then, in a sound that resonated like a deep, melodic whisper, she murmured, "Only my consort may touch me there." The words or vibrations echoed in Elias's mind. He froze, not out of fear but awe. She wasn't angry. She was communicating. Respecting boundaries, he adjusted his position, allowing the device to finish the healing without direct contact. The Queen's form relaxed. Her eyes studied him again, this time with a hint of understanding, even acknowledgement. Elias felt a strange warmth in his chest. This was more than first contact. This was a moment of trust, something humans had that many alien species might never fully grasp. "Captain," Lena whispered. She recognizes you. Somehow she trusts you. Elias nodded slowly. Trust is earned. And sometimes. It's the only way to survive. The queen rose to her feet, careful but steady. She moved gracefully despite her injury, a living sculpture of light and strength. Elias stepped back, giving her space. Then, to everyone's surprise, she bowed her massive head slightly toward him, a gesture of acknowledgement of bond. The rest of the crew exhaled, tension breaking. Malik laughed softly. Guess she likes you, Captain. Elias gave a small, humble smile. Not me, humanity. She sees what we can be, if we try. Night fell over Zephyra, and the valley glowed softly, illuminated by the Queen's bioluminescent presence and the strange flora around them. For the first time, Elias understood that this planet, this life, wasn't just something to study, it was something to protect, something to connect with. As they set up a temporary camp, Elias kept one eye on the Queen. She didn't leave. She simply watched, moving gracefully through the meadow, her gaze always returning to him. There was a silent promise there, a recognition that humans and aliens could share more than space. They could share understanding. Elias leaned back against a rock and let himself breathe. For years, humanity had dreamed of exploring the stars, of meeting intelligent life. He had never imagined it would feel like this. Terrifying, beautiful, and full of quiet wonder. Tomorrow they would need to study her, to learn how to communicate more fully. But tonight they had made a friend. And sometimes that was the greatest victory of all. The stars above Zephyra seemed to shine brighter, as if celebrating the bond forged in that glowing valley, a bond that might one day change the fate of two species forever. The sun, or the twin suns, as the Zephyra scientists would later confirm, rose slowly over the glowing meadow. Captain Elias Carter woke early, his mind already filled with thoughts about the alien queen. Despite her majestic presence, she had allowed him to help her. That small act of trust had left a mark on him he could not ignore. Morning, Captain, Lena said softly, handing him a steaming cup of synthesized coffee. The smell was familiar and comforting, but it did little to ease the tension in the team. Elias took a sip and glanced toward the valley where the queen had rested overnight. Her form shimmered faintly in the early light, and she moved with a slow, careful grace. Though her injury had stabilized, Elias could sense residual weakness. She needs more than stabilization, he murmured. Her energy flow isn't fully balanced. If we want to learn from her, and if we want to be trusted, we have to help her heal completely. Ensign Malik frowned. Do you really think she'll let us? Yesterday was a miracle. I don't want to push it, Elias shook his head. We won her trust yesterday by respecting her limits. Today we continue in the same way, careful, patient, and respectful. That's how humans make bonds. By mid-morning, the team prepared a portable med lab in the meadow. Elias had devised a new device overnight, a combination of human medical technology and Zephyra's natural crystals. He believed the crystals could harmonize the Queen's bioluminescent energy, acting like a bridge between species physiology. The Queen appeared as if she had been waiting for them. She moved slowly toward the device, stopping several meters away. Elias knelt on the ground and spoke softly. I'm here to help. Nothing more. You control everything. We only follow your lead. She emitted a low hum, a sound that resonated through the valley. It was neither threatening nor welcoming, but attentive. Elias interpreted it as consent. Slowly, he began the procedure, adjusting the crystals and carefully channeling energy toward the Queen's injured limb. Hours passed. The sun moved across the sky, casting shifting shadows over the meadow. The Queen remained still, occasionally twitching in response to the energy adjustments. Her hums grew softer, almost melodic, as if she were beginning to understand the process. Lena watched in awe. I've never seen anything like this. It's not just healing, it's communication. The way she responds, it's like she's learning from him, and he's learning from her. Elias nodded, his focus never leaving the Queen. Humans can understand emotion, intent, and energy. That's what sets us apart. It's not brute strength, it's empathy and observation. As the procedure continued, the Queen suddenly stiffened. Elias froze, remembering her words from the previous day. Only my consort may touch me there. He paused, ensuring no direct contact, letting the crystals do the work. The Queen's hums shifted softer, almost approving. Minutes later, her injured limb glowed evenly, the pulsing pain fading into a smooth rhythm. Elias exhaled quietly. "It's working," he said. The queen approached him slowly, lowering her massive head closer to his level. Elias kept his hands in his lap, calm and unthreatening. She extended one of her tendrils, brushing it gently against the crystal device. It was a gesture of cooperation, a willingness to participate. For the first time, Elias realized something profound. This bond was not about dominance or ownership. It was about mutual trust and respect. Humans had earned her cooperation because they were patient, careful, and intelligent in ways her species had never fully encountered before. "Captain," Lena whispered. "Look at her eyes. She's acknowledging you. Like you're part of her world now." Elias allowed himself a small smile. "No, Lena, not me. Humanity. She sees what we can be when we care more than we fight." By afternoon, the queen's energy flow was fully stabilized. She moved gracefully through the meadow, testing her limb carefully. Every motion was precise, as if she were relearning how to exist in her own body. The crew watched in silence, filled with awe. Then, something extraordinary happened. The queen extended a glowing tendril toward Elias, not threateningly, not aggressively, but as a gesture of invitation. Elias hesitated, then knelt on one knee. The tendril hovered, connecting with the human device that still radiated soft light. The effect was immediate. The queen's hums shifted, resonating in Elias's mind. He felt a wave of understanding, not words, but emotion, thought, and memory. She showed him glimpses of her species' history, a civilization that valued bonds above all, that thrived not on conquest, but on trust, respect, and careful cooperation. Elias's heart pounded. I understand," he whispered. "We can help each other if we're careful, if we respect each other." The queen's glow brightened, a sign of approval in her language. She circled him, testing his reaction, then paused and lowered her massive head in a subtle nod. It was the alien equivalent of a handshake, a formal acknowledgement of trust and respect. Ensign Malik exhaled audibly. "I've never seen a human do something like this. We usually use technology, force, and here he is just talking and listening." "That's the point," Elias said quietly. "Strength isn't always physical. Understanding, empathy, and patience, that's what humans bring to the universe." The rest of the day passed with cautious exploration. Elias and the queen moved together through the meadow. She allowed him close, but always maintained her boundaries. Through gestures, hums, and subtle movements, they communicated. Elias learned about her species' social structures, their sacred rituals, and the significance of a consort bond, not a romantic bond, but a sacred partnership based on trust. Lena documented everything, noting the unique interaction. "This could change everything we know about interspecies communication," she murmured. Elias nodded. "It already has. Humans have the ability to connect in ways others can't. That's what we need to show. Not weapons, not power, but understanding." As night fell over Zephyra, the meadow glowed with soft bioluminescence. The queen rested near Elias, her form radiating calm. He sat cross-legged, recording his observations and thoughts in the ship's database. He realized that this was more than a mission. It was a lesson in humanity itself. Across the stars, humans were often judged by their strength, their technology, or their ability to conquer. But here, on this glowing planet, human heroism was measured by care, courage, and moral intelligence. Elias allowed himself a moment of reflection. This bond, fragile and new, could define humanity's place in the galaxy, and it had begun not with a fight, but with the simple act of tending a wound, respecting boundaries, and offering trust. The alien queen hummed softly beside him, a sound that carried approval, curiosity, and something deeper, a recognition that humans were capable of greatness in unexpected ways. Elias smiled faintly. Tomorrow they would need to test the limits of this bond. Communication was still limited, and the planet held dangers they could not yet predict. But for now, in this glowing meadow beneath twin suns, humans had shown that courage was not just in weapons or strength. It was in patience, empathy, and understanding. The glow of Zephyra's twin suns faded into the deep violet of night. The meadow still shimmered, but an uneasy tension lingered in the air. Captain Elias Carter could feel it before any sensors picked up the signs. The planet itself was restless. Captain, I'm detecting unusual energy fluctuations, Lena Rao said, scanning the portable console. Her brow furrowed. The readings are coming from the northern forest. It's intense, almost like a storm, but it's not atmospheric. It's biological or maybe even planetary in nature. Elias studied the display. He had learned to trust both science and instinct, and his gut told him something was coming. Prepare the team. We may have to move quickly. The alien queen, who had spent most of the day beside the humans, appeared behind them. She seemed agitated, her hums sharp and rapid. Elias stepped forward. What is it? Is it dangerous? The queen's tendrils shifted in a pattern Elias had come to recognize as urgent communication. Though he could not understand her fully, the emotion was clear. The northern region of the planet was in peril, and she needed humans to help. Malik swallowed hard. Captain, are we supposed to follow her? Into that forest? Elias nodded. Yes, if we want to earn her trust fully, we can't hesitate. Humanity isn't just about survival. It's about stepping up when others can't. The team followed the queen into the northern forest. The air grew thick with strange fragrances, the trees glowing dimly as they passed. The energy readings from the scanners spiked sharply. Elias noticed the ground vibrating slightly beneath their feet, a low hum that seemed to resonate with the queen's own bioluminescence. This isn't normal, Lena murmured. Even for Zephyra. The queen stopped suddenly. Elias approached cautiously. She lowered herself slightly, her massive head near the ground scanning the area. Her tendrils flickered in patterns that seemed almost frantic. What is it? Elias asked softly. The queen emitted a series of rapid hums, and Elias realized the vibrations were warnings, not threats. Something in the forest was awakening, and it could be dangerous. Suddenly, a burst of light exploded ahead. The trees shimmered violently, and a wave of energy rippled through the ground. The humans stumbled, struggling to maintain balance. Elias reached out instinctively, holding Lena steady. The queen reacted immediately. She extended a glowing tendril toward the disturbance, pulsing light in a protective pattern. Elias watched carefully. She wasn't attacking, she was containing whatever force had emerged. This planet, it's alive, Elias whispered, and we've triggered something. The disturbance was a massive energy storm, not atmospheric but biological, a planetary reaction to an imbalance. Perhaps the queen's injury and the previous human presence had disrupted something deep within Zephyra's ecosystem. We need a plan, Elias said firmly. We can't fight it. We have to work with it. The queen turned toward him. Elias met her gaze, steady and calm. Then, using the device he had designed, he began to channel stabilized energy toward the epicenter of the storm. Lena assisted, adjusting the crystals to harmonize with the queen's bioluminescence. The storm roared, shaking the ground and sending waves of light through the forest. Elias felt the raw power of the planet coursing around him, but he did not panic. Humans had a unique ability, the ability to analyze, adapt, and act under pressure. Hours passed in tense coordination. Elias and the queen worked together, each responding to the other's subtle signals. The rest of the crew assisted as best they could, but it was the human-alien cooperation that made the difference. Finally, the storm began to subside. The glowing trees returned to their calm luminescence and the ground vibrations slowed. The queen lowered herself, exhausted but relieved. Elias approached carefully. You did it, Lena said softly. We stabilized it. Elias shook his head. We didn't do it alone. This is what humans can offer, not power but understanding, empathy, and careful action. The queen extended a tendril toward him, brushing it against the crystal device. The effect was immediate. A wave of resonance passed through Elias's mind, a silent acknowledgement of partnership and trust. For the first time, he understood the full depth of the consort bond. It wasn't about intimacy. It was about being someone the queen could rely on completely, someone capable of acting with wisdom and care under extreme circumstances. The rest of the night was spent in cautious exploration. Elias observed the forest closely, noting how every plant, every movement, and every bioluminescent glow seemed interconnected. Zephyra wasn't just alive, it was a network, a living ecosystem capable of responding to injury, stress, and external influence. You see that? Lena pointed to a cluster of glowing flowers. They're reacting to her presence. It's like the forest itself is communicating with her, through light and energy. Elias nodded. And through us. Humanity has the ability to join these networks in ways no other species can, through observation, patience, and empathy. That's why she trusts me, and why she allowed us to help. By dawn, the northern forest had returned to a calm state. The queen moved beside Elias, her massive form radiating gentle light. She extended one tendril and touched the crystal device, sending a pulse through the clearing. Elias felt it resonate within him, a silent message of gratitude and trust. This planet, it responds to trust, he murmured. To patience, to cooperation. That's something humans can offer. Not destruction, not control, cooperation. The crew marveled at the sight. Humans had faced danger without weapons, without aggression, relying solely on intellect, empathy, and collaboration. The queen's approval was the highest honor they could receive. As they prepared to return to the meadow, the queen paused. Elias noticed her eyes lingering on him longer than before. Her hums carried a rhythm he had learned to recognize as curiosity and acknowledgement. He realized something important. Humans were not just visitors here. They could be partners, capable of forming bonds that could stabilize not only individual creatures but entire ecosystems. The journey back to the meadow was quiet, each member of the team lost in thought. Elias reflected on the events of the day. Danger had tested their courage, but it had also tested their humanity, and they had passed, not through weapons or strength, but through trust, wisdom, and careful action. That night the meadow glowed softly, reflecting the calm of the northern forest. The queen rested nearby, her tendrils gently pulsating in a slow rhythm. Elias sat cross-legged on the ground, recording his observations. He thought about the storm, about the bond they had forged, and about humanity's role in the galaxy. Humans were often seen as aggressive, short-sighted, or violent, but here on Zephyra they were more. They were healers, mediators, and partners. Lena approached him quietly. Captain, she trusts you completely now. I think she sees you as more than a visitor. She sees humanity's potential. Elias nodded. And that's our responsibility. To show that our species is capable of greatness, not destruction. To earn trust wherever we go. The queen hummed softly beside him, almost as if she understood his thoughts. Elias allowed himself a small smile. The bond between them was growing stronger, built on trust, respect, and shared purpose. As the twin suns began to rise again, Elias realized that their journey on Zephyra had only just begun. The planet held many secrets, challenges, and dangers, but it also held opportunities. Opportunities for humans to prove their worth not as conquerors but as partners and allies. The days that followed the storm brought a fragile calm to Zephyra. The alien queen moved with a quiet grace through the glowing meadows, her presence both majestic and serene. Yet Captain Elias Carter sensed tension beneath the surface. Something was stirring deep within the planet. A trial, he realized, a challenge not just for him but for all of humanity. Lena Rao approached him as he studied the queen's movements. Captain, I've been monitoring her bioluminescent pulses, she said. They're changing, almost like she's preparing for something. Perhaps a test, a ritual, something that requires complete trust. Elias nodded thoughtfully. Then we'll be ready. Humans earned her trust through care and empathy before. Now it's time to prove it through action. The queen led them toward the center of a dense forest. Towering trees with glowing vines formed natural arches overhead. The air was thick with hums of unseen creatures. Elias noticed that every movement seemed intentional, as though the forest itself were watching and responding to them. Suddenly, the queen stopped. She lowered her massive head and her tendrils extended forward, creating a circle of soft light around Elias and the crew. It was a signal. They were entering a sacred space, a place where the queen's species performed trials to test allies. Elias took a deep breath. Remember, everyone, we respect her space. We move carefully. We respond only when necessary. Malik glanced nervously at the circle of light. Captain, what exactly is this trial? Elias shook his head. I don't know. But I do know one thing, humans can face it. Not with strength, but with trust, courage, and understanding. The queen began to hum and the ground beneath them vibrated gently. Light shifted, forming patterns in the air. Elias realized that the trial was not physical. It was a test of perception, patience, and moral courage. A series of obstacles appeared before them. Glowing vines twisted into barriers. Floating stones formed moving platforms and streams of energy pulsed unpredictably across the path. The Queen gestured for Elias to lead, placing the responsibility of navigation on him. Elias studied each challenge carefully. He noted patterns in the energy pulses and observed the timing of the moving platforms. Where other species might react with fear or force, humans could analyze and adapt. He guided the crew with clear instructions, emphasizing coordination and calm thinking. The first obstacle was a narrow bridge of light, suspended over a glowing chasm. One misstep could spell disaster. Elias led by example, stepping lightly, testing each movement and instructing the others. They followed carefully, their trust in him and in each other growing. Next came a series of floating stones, each hovering at different heights, shifting unpredictably. Elias paused, observing the pattern. "It's rhythmic," he murmured. "We move together, following the pulse. Step in time and we cross safely." The team followed, their steps synchronized. When one stone dipped unexpectedly, Elias caught Lena's hand, steadying her. "Trust," he whispered. "That's what this is all about." Finally, they reached a stream of pulsing energy. The Queen extended her tendrils, and Elias understood immediately. They must channel the energy carefully, not touch it directly, and harmonize with its rhythm. He placed the crystal device in the stream, adjusting the flow to match the Queen's bioluminescent pulses. A surge of energy shot through the clearing, and for a moment, Elias feared it would overwhelm them. But he held steady, guiding the flow, and the energy responded, settling into a stable, gentle rhythm. The Queen's hums shifted, approving, her glow brightening. Lena whispered in awe, "Captain, you're doing it. You're guiding it without touching it directly. That's incredible." Elias smiled faintly. "It's what humans do best. We observe, we analyze, we adapt. And we care. That's why she trusts us." The final part of the trial awaited, a massive chasm that split the forest. Across it, a glowing platform hovered, pulsing with energy. To cross, they would need to synchronize with the Queen's energy and their own. Elias approached the edge carefully. "Everyone focus on the rhythm. Trust your instincts. Trust each other. Trust us, humanity. And the Queen will guide us." One by one, the crew stepped onto the platform, adjusting their movements to the pulsing light. Elias followed last, feeling the Queen's energy resonate through the crystal device. The platform moved steadily, carrying them across the chasm. When they reached the other side, Elias turned to the Queen. She lowered her head, her eyes glowing with approval. The tendrils extended toward him, brushing lightly against the crystal device. The resonance that passed through Elias's mind was profound. She acknowledged him and humanity as worthy allies. Malik exhaled, his face breaking into a relieved smile. We did it. And we're alive," Elias nodded. "Yes, but more importantly, we passed the trial. Not through force, not through weapons, but through trust, understanding, and courage. That's human strength." The Queen led them to a quiet clearing beyond the chasm. There the ground was covered in soft, glowing moss. She lowered herself to rest, allowing the humans to gather around. Elias knelt beside her, careful to respect her space. In that moment, he understood the full meaning of her words from their first encounter. "Only my consort may touch me there." It wasn't about intimacy. It was about trust and responsibility. By guiding her through the trial, by respecting her limits and working together, Elias had become her consort in the ceremonial sense. Lena looked at him with awe. "Captain, this is incredible. She recognizes you as a partner, as someone who can act with wisdom and care under extreme circumstances." Elias allowed himself a quiet smile. "It's not me alone. It's humanity. We have the ability to be heroes, not through violence, but through empathy, intelligence, and courage." The Queen's glow pulsed gently, as if acknowledging his words. Elias felt a deep sense of connection, not just with her, but with the planet itself. Zephyra was a living, breathing ecosystem, and humans had earned a place within it. That night, as the twin suns rose again, Elias and his team set up camp near the clearing. The Queen rested nearby, her tendrils gently illuminating the area. Elias sat cross-legged, recording his observations in the ship's database. He reflected on the trial. It had tested them in every way possible, not just physically, but mentally and morally. Humanity had passed because they could analyze, adapt, and act with empathy. qualities no other species on Zephyra had ever fully encountered. Lena approached quietly. "Captain, I think she trusts us completely now. She sees humanity's potential, and I think she might even see you as a symbol of that." Elias nodded thoughtfully. "And that's our responsibility, to show that humans are capable of greatness, to earn trust wherever we go and to act with courage and care." The alien queen hummed softly beside him, a sound that carried approval, curiosity, and respect. Elias smiled faintly. The bond between them had grown stronger, built on trust, shared purpose, and the understanding that human heroism was not about domination. It was about moral courage, empathy, and wisdom. As the night deepened, Elias realized that Zephyra had become more than a mission. It was a testament to humanity's potential, a chance to show the galaxy what humans could truly be. And the alien queen, once injured and cautious, now radiated trust, connection, and hope. Humanity had passed the trial, not through force, but through understanding, patience, and courage. And Elias knew that whatever challenges lay ahead, humans were ready, not as conquerors, but as partners, allies, and heroes. The twin suns rose once more, bathing the meadow in light. The queen's glow pulsed steadily, a living symbol of the bond between species. Elias felt a quiet certainty. Together, humans and the alien queen could face any challenge. And in that partnership, humanity's true heroism had been revealed. The twin suns of Zephyra rose slowly over the glowing meadow, painting the horizon with colors the human eye had never truly seen before. Captain Elias Carter stood at the edge of the clearing, observing the alien queen as she moved gracefully among the bioluminescent flora. Her injury had fully healed, her energy balanced, and her massive form now radiated calm authority. The day ahead was not meant for rest. Elias could feel it in the air. The planet itself seemed to hum with expectation. The trial had been passed, but now there was a greater challenge: to solidify the bond between humans and the alien civilization, to prove that humanity's presence was not an intrusion, but a partnership. Lena Rao approached quietly, holding the portable scanner. "Captain, the readings show stabilization throughout the northern forest now. Her species network, whatever it is, responds to her fully, but there are still localized disturbances. The planet isn't entirely calm yet." Elias nodded. "Then we act carefully but decisively. Today we show Zephyra and ourselves that humans can be trusted to protect and nurture life, not destroy it." The alien queen moved toward them. Her tendrils extended in a way Elias had come to recognize: invitation. She guided them deeper into the forest, to a place where the trees arched high above, forming a natural cathedral of light. The ground pulsed gently underfoot, a rhythm that seemed to resonate with the queen's own energy. "This is remarkable," Malik whispered, eyes wide. "It's like the planet itself is alive and..." Listening to her, Elias smiled. "It is. And now we have a chance to participate in that life, not as intruders but as allies." They arrived at a central clearing where the queen paused. Surrounding her were smaller members of her species, glowing softly and observing. Elias realized they were witnesses, not just to the humans' actions but to the ceremony of trust and partnership. The queen lowered herself onto the soft moss, gesturing for Elias to approach. He knelt carefully, mindful of the boundary she had established from the very beginning. This moment, he knew, would define humanity's role on Zephyra. Lena whispered beside him. "Captain, this is it, the final step. Your bond with her and ours with the planet will be recognized today." Elias nodded, taking a deep breath. "Then we do it together, humans and Zephyra, united with respect." The queen emitted a series of hums, soft and melodic. Elias responded with his own calm presence, observing the rhythm, matching his movements to hers. Slowly, a network of glowing tendrils extended from the queen, connecting to the surrounding forest and, indirectly, to the humans' crystal devices. The energy flowed around them in waves of color and light. Elias felt it resonate through his body, a harmonious connection between species, humans, and planet. It was overwhelming yet peaceful, a living network of trust, collaboration, and mutual respect. "This is incredible," Lena whispered. "We're part of it. We're connected." Elias smiled faintly. "Yes, and that connection is proof. Proof that humans can be more than conquerors. They can be partners, protectors, and allies. Suddenly, the energy surged unpredictably. Elias braced himself, knowing the planet was testing the strength of their bond. The smaller members of the alien species shifted nervously, but the Queen remained calm, her presence steady and commanding. Elias focused on maintaining balance, adjusting the crystal devices carefully, channeling his empathy and attention into every movement. The energy responded, stabilizing once again. The Queen's glow intensified, a silent acknowledgement that the humans had acted correctly. Malik let out a low whistle. I've never seen anything like this. We're saving a planet with understanding, not weapons. Elias nodded. That's humanity's strength. Not domination, not aggression. Cooperation, empathy, and intelligence. As the energy settled, the Queen extended a tendril toward Elias, brushing lightly against the crystal device. The resonance was profound, a wave of communication that transcended words. Elias understood it fully. The Queen recognized him as her ceremonial consort, and humanity as a trusted ally. The smaller aliens began to hum in harmony, their lights pulsing gently in unison. Elias realized they were participating in the affirmation of the bond, acknowledging humans not as outsiders, but as partners in the stewardship of Zephyra. Lena smiled, her voice barely a whisper. Captain, we've done it. Humanity has earned a place here. Elias allowed himself a moment of quiet satisfaction. This was more than a mission. It was proof that humans could forge trust, bridge worlds, and stabilize life through care and understanding. The Queen moved gracefully around the clearing, her glow a soft beacon of approval. She paused beside Elias, lowering her massive head close to his level. There was no aggression, no fear, only recognition and the silent promise of continued partnership. Elias extended a hand, careful not to touch her directly where she had established boundaries. The Queen responded with a gentle pulse of energy, a gesture of mutual respect. Humanity and Zephyra had reached harmony. As the twin suns rose higher, illuminating the meadow, Elias looked at his crew. They were tired, but their eyes shone with pride. Each of them had witnessed human heroism not through strength or violence, but through wisdom, empathy, and courage. Malik laughed softly. Captain, I never thought I'd see the day humans earned the trust of an alien species like this. And not by fighting, by being ourselves, Elias nodded. Exactly. This is what humans bring to the galaxy. The ability to understand, to empathize, and to act with moral courage. That's true heroism. The Queen moved to the center of the clearing and emitted a series of long, harmonious hums. Elias felt the resonance through his body and mind. The hums carried meaning beyond words. Approval, trust, acknowledgement, and an invitation for humans to continue their role as guardians and partners. Lena whispered, She's sharing the planet's acceptance with us, with humanity. Elias smiled. And that's why we came. Not to conquer, not to claim, but to connect, to learn, and to protect. For the rest of the day, the crew worked alongside the Queen and her species, learning the intricate ways the planet's ecosystem responded to energy, care, and balance. They repaired minor damages caused by the earlier storm, assisted in stabilizing energy nodes, and deepened the connection with Zephyra itself. Every action reinforced the message. Humans could coexist, cooperate, and contribute to alien worlds without harm. By evening, the meadow was calm once more. The glow of the flora and the bioluminescent creatures reflected the harmony that had been restored. The alien Queen rested nearby, her tendrils pulsing gently, while Elias and his team observed quietly. He realized that Zephyra had not only tested them, it had taught them. Humans were capable of forming bonds that transcended species, understanding ecosystems that were vastly different, and acting with wisdom and courage under pressure. This is only the beginning, Elias said softly. There will be more planets, more species, more challenges. But now we know what humanity can offer. Not force, not weapons. Care, understanding, and courage. The Queen's soft hum echoed in his mind, a sound filled with recognition and trust. Elias smiled faintly, knowing that this partnership would endure, not just between him and the Queen, but between all of humanity and Zephyra. As the twin suns set, casting long shadows over the glowing meadow, Elias stood and looked at the horizon. Humans had arrived as explorers, but they had become allies, guardians, and heroes. Their place in the galaxy had been earned not through conquest, but through empathy, intelligence, and moral courage. The alien queen moved beside him, her glow steady and serene. Elias knew without a doubt that humanity had passed its greatest test, not a trial of strength, but a trial of character. Zephyra was at peace, its energy balanced, its creatures safe, and its new human allies trusted. And in that harmony, Captain Elias Carter saw the true potential of humanity, to explore, to connect, and to shine as beacons of hope across the stars. The stars began to sparkle above the twin suns, reflecting in the soft glow of the meadow. Elias took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the journey behind him and the promise of the future ahead. Humanity had proven itself.